Welcome to the Papi and Chulo podcast. I am your host, Chulo, and sitting alongside with me virtually is...
Papi. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for having us. We have another great episode here for you. Take the lead, Chulo.
All right. Well, we're coming at you from coast to semi-coast, from the west to the east or the east to the west, depending if the way you read or if you're dyslexic, one or the other. All right. Well, as you know what this podcast is about, where we uplift men and we never tear down women. We help them. We build the confidence of men and uplift women, the women in our lives, the women around us, and those who we will meet in the future. So, as per usual, today we're going to be covering a couple of different topics, usually pertaining to relationships, something about pop culture, but we're going to go ahead and let Papi start us off on something that he wants to cover. So go right ahead, Papi.
So as you guys know, we discuss everything and anything that pertains to a man's life. And something just happened to me recently, which is definitely part of all our lives, because we all at least have a father and mother, and some of us may have siblings as well. And for me, particularly today, we had a great business consultation meeting, my brother and I, who are collaborating. We're investing. He's investing, and I'm managing the properties. Throughout the hour-long meeting, which was very good, I noticed that his voice was just a little shaky, not him being his usual self. And I asked him if we could talk after the meeting, and he said yes. And we start talking, FaceTiming, and I didn't want to ask just bluntly, but then I just reached a point where I was like, all right, brother of Papi, we'll just call him Will. Will, what's going on, man? Like, you seem a little off. Your voice is shaky. You don't seem with it. And he does one of those moments where he just has so much emotion in him, and he's just like looking at me, and he's not sure if he wants to share. And I don't blame him. You know, him and I are brothers who love each other, but we don't open up to each other much. It's only recently in the last 5 years that we've probably had like deep conversations. Seldom, but we've had them. And he just breaks down, tears rolling down his eyes, down his cheeks. And he's just saying he's going through a lot personally, a lot financially, a lot maritally. And he did just have his second child, a beautiful baby girl. And I if it's one art that I've learned in these moments, it's just to be an open ear. And I encourage that for anybody and everybody. Be that open ear. Let them tell you everything. And just say, yes, tell me more. Please elaborate. Or I didn't get that. Can you tell me more? Well, what do you mean by this when you said this? And don't try to fix things. Don't try to fix things. And I'm happy to say that that's the approach that I took while my brother was sharing everything that he was saying.
Let me ask you something. Has your relationship with your brother always been like that, where you guys can be open? Because it sounds like he was almost hesitant until you opened up the door.
Dude, no, man. My brother and I, we competed a lot growing up. We didn't like each other. We always knocked heads. He is an leaning introvert. I'm definitely leaning extrovert. Both strong-willed. We were raised by a strong feminist mother, like I told you, and a strong farmer man father who raised us by the hand. Both good in their respective sense, but we also picked up their bad habits. We very much always wanted to be in the right. We attacked each other when we were in the wrong. We did a lot to bring each other down verbally. And him being the older brother, he happened to be the one who did things right, while I, the middle child, often was the clumsy one who didn't follow through. But we've grown, we've matured, and we're in a better spot. So now I'm happy to say that we can have these conversations where my brother trusted me enough. You know, I mean, obviously he's trusting me because we're collaborating financially. We've kind of had these deep conversations, and he's told me stuff, I've told him stuff. And it just happened to be, I happened to catch him in a day where he was overwhelmed. So that's our background.
You know, it's interesting. The need for that brotherhood. It's fascinating that you're able to actually have that now with your brother. I've coming from personal experience, I never have. My brother has always been. He's a very different person. He's just a very stoic person in general. Doesn't really express himself, share emotion, and his interests and joys come in a very different ways than mine do. And I tend to be more of a person that is more expressive. So that what you're describing to have with your brother is something that I've never experienced. But it's interesting though, because I feel like every single man in their lives needs a relationship like that one way or the other. Whether you find it through, your blood, through your actual, blood brothers, or whether you find a group of men that help you build through that. So, I mean, you even hear about in the popular media within the manosphere, you have brothers either build each other up or they're entrepreneurial with each other. So you look at like the Logan brothers, they bag on each other a lot, but they're building something together, something that brings them together. And then obviously you have the Tay brothers, who are a little bit in hot water right now for whatever odd reasons, but they're brothers that build each other up, whether that's good or bad about the things that they do. But in general, the need for that brotherhood is so important. I think you need it in order to form good, strong men. Because if you don't have it, you have men who just rule based off of their emotions, and before you know it, a man who lets his emotions take over him is very dangerous, I'd say.
Yeah, I agree with that. The one thing that I would say, you and I try to differentiate ourselves from Fresh and Fit, that's podcast specifically, but the Tate brothers or the Logan brothers, is that you have to form yourself as a person and what is morally good or what is morally praiseworthy, and measure each other by that standard, versus them who just happens to be in their own little tribal world and they promote themselves in that tribal world, which I think you and I would agree that though they're good in that they're bringing up important topics for men, for young men growing, they definitely promote a theme that finally is like something that they've been yearning to hear, but at the same time, it's not really in the right direction.
Yeah, it's the pendulum swinging in the opposite direction. I mean, you look at the way the world has gone through feminism and truly feminizing a lot out there. Just the world is very feminized. And you have this subculture that has kind of pulled away from that and hasn't embraced this feminization of men. I mean, you look at what's the stereotype, the beta male. So the beta male is the outgrowth of being accused of toxic masculinity, and the repulsion of that is actually this manosphere movement that you see going on in the world. And though they really do say a lot of good and true things, they still miss the mark because they're going based off of the animalistic behavior of what a man is, and not understanding taming your emotions and understanding that every desire doesn't necessarily need to be lived out, which still kind of falls in line with the whole feminist thing, because when it comes to man's sexual desire, they shouldn't always be lived out, expressed like a lot of these guys try to do, especially by using women.
Yeah. When you said the word beta, it made me chuckle because my little brother, we kind of jokingly insult each other with the word beta. Hey beta, how you doing today? You feeling beta today? But the word has its application just the same as alpha has its application. And so I think we are in agreement where, yes, yearn to be the alpha, but recognize that there is toxicity if it goes in the wrong direction. And we'll talk about that eventually, for sure.
Well, I think if you're looking at what a true man is, and true man with wisdom is, alpha doesn't necessarily means going out there and taking everything that you want, but it's infused with wisdom and virtue. And being an alpha is knowing when to step forward and knowing when to take a step back. What's the thing that they say? The loudest one in the room is the most vulnerable. And I think a true alpha male understands when to speak and when to listen, when to act and when to abstain from acting.
So let me tell you what happened with my brother and I. he yes, all that happens. He starts elaborating, just telling me his personal struggles, his marital struggles, and I'm just an open ear, hearing him out. And I do follow my rules that I mentioned. Then I start making the mistake of fixing, which men do. We do. And sometimes it is what is needed, depending on the circumstance, the context. Let's say you're fighting a war or you need to rehab a house that needs to be done by tomorrow. Yeah, get the job done. But that wasn't this circumstance. It's the first time we're addressing this, and I try to get into fix it mode. And then I sensed him like starting to close, and I was like, all right, dude, don't do that. So I just started asking more questions, trying to see it from his perspective. And then I started asking questions to try to see it from his wife's perspective. And it was insightful. I think at the end, I was able to help him recognize that the difficulties that he's having with his wife isn't because she doesn't love him. It's just that she is not going to participate in the same business ventures or the mindset that he hopes or expects. In short, he has these hopes and expectations for his wife to participate in his ventures, but it's not her thing. It's not her interest. And though she may have said, yes, I will do this part, I will do this job, she's not doing it well, or she's not even tackling certain issues that she agreed to. And he's being overwhelmed by that. He feels not loved, I would say. He feels being let down. And it isn't just that. There are other things in their personal lives, in their rental lives that, yes, she definitely is slacking. And I definitely hope she never hears this podcast, because I would never want her to think of me this way, as me calling her or criticizing her. No, she is
Say her
great.
name. Say her name. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
No, and I had to be measured, because I first brought up to him, she may not be good at these things that you are hoping for, but is she a good mom? He's like, yes. Does she take care of the kids? Yes. Does she cook? Yes. Does she busy herself with the things of the house or the essentials? He's like, yes. She does what what impacts her in her immediate circle. She doesn't necessarily branch out. And I was like, so she loves you, dude. She loves you. She loves you the way she knows to love you. Can you really blame her for trying to bring something new into her life that isn't to her interests? I understand that you're trying to teach her. I understand if something were to happen to you, if you were to die, who's going to run the business? Yes, I understand. But Larry, that is not her. She's a freshly born child, and it's just not. It's not what's her passion. Not her passion.
You know what? One thing that I noticed, especially about wedding planning, is that you need to help build on each other's strengths, and when you do see a weakness, not being afraid to help and assist. And when it comes to this whole wedding planning thing, man, spreadsheets and all that stuff, and putting everything on paper and organizing it, man, I'm horrible at that stuff. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to organize things, but I know how to get things done. I know how to make phone calls. I know how to schedule things out in order to get stuff paid, and in order to get all the practical things up and going. When it comes to organizing that stuff on paper, I'm horrible at it. And what I've noticed is that as my fiance and I we've learned to compliment each other on those things. And whenever I fail on something, she knows to jump in and take over. Or if she's not good at that, then she just reminds me that I need to do these things. And it really is this fine balance of just walking with each other. It's like a dance, It's like a bachata dance where you just kind of learn how to flow with each other. So that's kind of been my experience with it, and I'm hoping that when I enter into marriage, it's that dance is going to continue. But then again, marriages, there's struggles in marriage, and I'm definitely prepared for those moments too.
Yeah. I also have to share that there was a moment where he said, "Papi, you don't understand what I'm going through right now," and old Papi would have been like upset by that, but new Papi, I was like, no, like I see where my brother's coming from. I'm still single. I have no kids, no dependents. I'm responsible for. So that he said that when he got a little defensive when I started trying to fix things. So, that's why I had to definitely pull back the reins and just be an open ear. At the end of it, I felt that we had a great connection. Good things were said. Good advice was said, and I wanted to reassure him, say, "Hey, I am going to do everything I can to make your life easy, business-wise. I'm here for you as a brother. I'm your biggest cheerleader, and I'm happy with things that you've done for me, so on and so forth."
Let me ask you, have you found it difficult to be happy for him in ways that you've wanted to excel at? You see him excelling at. Did you ever have a hard time accepting those things, or has it always been you're always happy about celebrating those things? Because I'll give you an example. One thing that stayed in my mind growing up was, I remember, oh gosh, I was in my early 20s, and I had just heard that one of our neighbors had gone to a casino and won like $120,000, playing slots or something like that. And the initial reaction was like, man, this is a horrible dude. He doesn't deserve it. We're the ones that should be getting this stuff. This isn't right. And that was my initial reaction. And I was sitting around in the garage with my dad, my brother, my uncle, and my dad, the wisdom that he had, it just blew my mind. He says, there's no reason for you to feel horrible that he won it. It's like, good for him. If we're supposed to get it, we're gonna get it. But you know what? It doesn't matter. Be happy for the blessing that he got, and you have nothing to worry about. Just be happy for him. Congratulate him if you see him, and that's it. Just let it be. Let him enjoy the fruits of this victory that he got. And to me, it always stuck, because it's really easy to get jealous whenever you see something that you want and somebody else is succeeding in doing the things you want to do or getting the things that you want. But to really stop and say, good for them. I'm happy for them. And to back away is such a wise and humbling thing, is what I've noticed. So just going back to that question, have you ever experienced that with your brother or with anybody else that you friends or family?
Currently, I am more than happy of where he is right now. I don't really have that comparison issue with him now, but very much a different story. Back in the day, like I mentioned, he was the older brother who was more responsible. My father definitely trusted him with projects, because my dad has had his own rentals as well. And the family knew him as the smart A+ student who got the job done. And me, like I already mentioned, the klutz, the unreliable troublemaker who deserved, I used to get spanked before the party started sometimes. My dad approached me one time and he pulled my ear and he said, "This is because of all the things wrong that you're going to do tonight."
Did he actually do that to you?
He did, man. So think about that. This total middle child syndrome that I developed with. And it'll definitely be in another one of our episodes called Sins of Our Father. But dude, no, I'm very lucky, very blessed that we've all matured, we've all grown. And I can confidently tell you right now, my brother trusts me. My brother trusts me. My brother, yes, he loves me, but not because he just has to love me, but he loves me, he trusts me. He's putting his money where his mouth is. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, right?
Yep.
Because everything that's happening, and I'm proud of that. I'm happy. We definitely come a long way.
Good stuff. All right. Any final thoughts of words or wisdom that you want to share with the crowd?
Your family circumstance is different. It will be different. Everybody's family circumstance is different. The context is different. Your point in your maturity is different for everybody. And the hope is that you let go of the resentment. And the only way you let go of resentment is obviously by confronting the source, the roots. So try to apologize to each other. Be the first one to aim to apologize. Make amends. Before, I didn't care when somebody said, "Hey, talk to your dad, talk to your brother. You might lose them soon." I didn't care. If anything, I used to just say, "Well, they hurt me. They still hurt me." But there's a wisdom to that. I'm happy that I am where I am, and I wish it for everybody.
All right, great. And I guess my advice is stay humble, always be appreciative of the things that you have. And when somebody else has a victory, it's okay to celebrate them. It's always okay to celebrate them. All right. Well, on that note, you have been listening to the Papi and Chulo podcast. Thank you for joining us on another episode. I am Chulo.
I am Papi.
And we'll catch you on the next one.